Let's go straight to Westminster to the Shadow Business and Trade Secretary and say a very good morning to Andrew Griffiths. Andrew, good morning.
Good morning.
Got the coat on, sir. Fresh January morning. Thank you for your dedication. Your boss, Kemi Badenoch, has just come out and said that paying to surrender the Chagos Islands is not just an act of stupidity, but of complete self-sabotage. She says Starmer's plan to give away the Chagos Islands is a terrible policy that weakens UK security, which I think sort of nails it, because yesterday, Andrew, he stood at that ridiculous press conference and said Greenlanders should decide, but he never asked the Chagosian people, did he?
He did not, and we know that peace comes through strength, through willing to be standing up for yourself. The Chagos deal, which the Conservatives have opposed since the very first time it was announced, is a terrible deal. Economic self-harm, sabotage, damage to British taxpayers, damage to the pristine marine environment, and it's got some very important national security assets which cannot be replicated anywhere else on the planet. It's a terrible deal. Starmer's becoming adept in U-turns. He should be U-turning today, showing that the UK is willing to stand up for itself, growing a backbone, and then on this, President Trump is right, but it shouldn't take a US president to tell a British Prime Minister what the right thing to do for Britain is.
But you're absolutely right, but the hypocrisy of Starmer is now internationally laid bare. He stood there. None of us agreed with Trump, although you might disagree with me. I think it's posturing. I think Donald Trump is a businessman who's probably had this in his pocket. I'm coming into Greenland, and the world goes, no, you can't do that. And he's basically saying to Starmer this morning, you've got some front, haven't you? You stood there yesterday and said, oh, it's up to the Greenlanders, and today, you know, the truth is you didn't ask the Chagosians. Can you clear something up for me, Andrew? Several texts earlier saying that the Tories started discussions about giving away the Chagos Islands and that there's a slight hypocrisy in your position. Can you just justify that for us, if that's OK?
Yeah, there's a gazillion world of difference between having ongoing discussions that never reach a conclusion, that don't actually end up in a deal, and something that says we're going to, advised by my legal North London buddy friends, we're going to enter into a deal with Mauritius that's never owned these islands, and what's more, we're going to pay them £35 billion of hard-pressed British taxpayer money. This is a terrible deal. The Conservatives would never have done this deal. It's one thing to talk to any international country. It's another to do a terrible deal.
No, I get that, but
security of this country.
I get that, but just for my viewers and listeners who are questioning, and we're always grateful because we get the Tory party side. Why would your party have even entered discussions on giving away, as somebody said, land that's the United Kingdom's and is a massive security and important area?
Well, they didn't end up in a deal. So look, you entered foreign policy discussions about all sorts of things all the time. That's a million miles away from actually having a conversation that leads to a deal. So I think that's very clear to people. I mean, we talk about all sorts of things. It doesn't mean that you end up doing them, least of all on ludicrous terms, that the Conservative Party has been very, very clear. So I know there's some people that sort of want to try and throw some smoke. Maybe they're from different political parties. This is not a deal that was done by the Conservatives. The Conservatives weren't talking about a deal that looked anything remotely like this, and this is all on Starmer. We've opposed it from the very beginning. It was Conservatives that teased out, against the government's wishes, that £35 billion cost. It's Conservatives that have called debates in Parliament, put down questions, and Conservatives that will be voting against this deal when it comes to Parliament this week.
Andrew, quickly, we're on defection watch here on Talk at 11 o'clock this morning. Nigel Farage making the point last week that a high-ranking Labour person will be announced. Nothing yet. We're just waiting to hear. He's the master of secrecy as well. Obviously, on the back of Robert Jenrick last week and Andrew Rossendale yesterday, we read that Kemi Badenoch warns Tory MP she will not tolerate any more psychodramas after Shadow Ministers defect to reform, saying any who want to undermine or destroy the party will be dealt with. I know you've got a sense of humour. What sort of punishment did she threaten you all with if you dared to defect, Andrew Griffiths?
Well, I've got a sense of humour, but I've also got a sense of optimism, and I think the Conservative Party is taking very seriously its job of opposing this government. That's what we do day by day. That's our apprenticeship for one day returning to government. And I'm actually excited and optimistic about putting in plans to fix some of the challenges that our country faces, that yes, maybe governments of all different political flavours haven't been fully honest about and haven't been equal to the task. That's what I'm doing here in Westminster. That's why I came into the Conservative Party after 27 years in business, to fix some of those challenges, and I think we can do exactly that.
Do you think that your party is stronger or weaker without Robert Jenrick and Andrew Rossendale?
Look, I don't ever play or comment on personalities, but clearly any team is stronger if everybody is trying to put the ball in the enemy's the back of the enemy's net. And so if you've got people on the team whose mind is somewhere else, then of course it's better that they're not part of the team anymore. It leaves the rest of us to get on with that purposefulness set of plans.
Andrew, it's great to have you on, mate. We really appreciate your honesty and your integrity, and thank you for joining us on Talk Breakfast. Andrew Griffiths, Shadow Business and Trade Secretary. Let's go to a man who used to be the Deputy Chairman of the Conservative Party till in his lies he saw the light, or basically just got offered a large amount of money. Jonathan Gullis, a very good morning, sir. You defected to Reform. I read something about you I didn't know the other day. You're already a mayor. Where's that? What? Are you a mayor?
So, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm the mayor of Kidsgrove, which is a little parish council up in my old constituency, which I'm very proud. It's a ceremonial role, Jeremy. I'm raising money for two amazing charities. Cops UK, which is about police officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty, their families get taken care of, and the Tri Services, which is about supporting our amazing veterans. So
you've completely and utterly destroyed what I was going to say there, haven't you? You've absolutely... Policemen and women who lose their lives, serving veterans, I'm fully behind you. I was going to say, bit of a come down, Deputy Chairman of the Tory Party to a mayor of 3 people somewhere in Stoke. But listen, fantastic.
25,000 people, Jeremy. 25,000 people. Don't talk Kidsgrove down, my friend.
I would never do that. Morning, JG. An overview to start with. Starmer ripped a second one this morning by Donald J. Trump. I mean, I think most people, Jonathan... understandably, myself included, were like, no, you can't just walk into Greenland and take it over. You can talk about the security issues and you can have that debate. I've been very cynical for a long time about NATO, not a massive fan. I think he rattled his sabre when he got elected and said to them, hold on a minute, I'm paying all this and you're not, and they all jumped into line. But with this Truth Social post this morning saying that the giveaway of the Chagos Islands is an act of stupidity and weakness, and more than that, what it says about Starmer's hypocrisy, and that, you know, he'll pontificate about Greenland, they should decide, and then push this upon Chagosian people without asking them and give away our money, this absolutely shines a light on this man's incompetence, doesn't it?
Look, totally. President Trump is entirely right about the stupidity in the UK handing over sovereign territory, an important military base, and giving away £35 billion of British taxpayers' money to do it to an ally of China, who we all know are a major national security threat. It makes no sense. I'm somewhat frustrated that President Trump originally had backed the deal. I'm hoping now that he will renegade on that.
I'm going to ask you this because you were an MP. You were the Deputy Chairman of the Tory Party. Now you're Mayor of... wherever. I think we don't always give Trump enough credit, JG, and I'm not trying to make him out to be a genius. He's a deal maker, he's a businessman. But, you know, there is an argument that says that he's had this under his hat for ages because he had Greenland planned and he wants it as a bargaining tool. Thoughts on that?
But maybe, but I'm again deeply frustrated that originally he had signed the deal, but glad that he's now raising concerns about it. And look, when it comes to Greenland, I just think that is an act of great stupidity on the behalf of President Trump, because at the end of the day, I don't see why NATO allies should be bickering amongst ourselves when China and Russia are such a serious threat. And I hope that, as I say, there can be some diplomatic solution to this particular issue. I don't deny that there are clearly security threats from China and Russia in Greenland, and whether NATO needs to have a serious look about how many troops are deployed there and how that would operate and work, then let's have that discussion. But at the end of the day, when it comes to Chagos, Absolutely. The UK should not be surrendering its territory. That is what a weak country does, not what a strong country does. It should not be giving £35 billion of British taxpayers' money away to do it. And it certainly shouldn't be doing it, on top of all that, to hand over to Mauritius, who are in the pocket of China, therefore putting our troops and our military at risk, as well as the security of that particular region and our allies in places like Taiwan.
Couldn't agree more. And also the small cost of his Chagos deal, we found this earlier, is £34.7 billion. And as I pointed out, and I make no apology for this, JG, that is a third of our national debt that's costing us $10 billion a month in interest. So why would you not go for a country that apparently has got no money because food's up and energy's up and council tax is up? We apparently have no money. Oh, but you found $35 billion to give away to Mauritius, who are in China's pocket. And can I repeat, because it's 9 o'clock and I'm allowed to, I do it every hour, the Mauritian people won't be paying tax for 18 months because they're now debt-free because of the money our Prime Minister gave them. It's ludicrous, Jonathan Gullis.
Jeremy, as you...
Sorry, go on.
Oh, sorry, I was about to say, Jeremy, that is the salt that's being rubbed into the wound of the British taxpayer. To hear that our money is going to be used to give people in Mauritius a tax-free lifestyle is utterly insulting beyond repair. And I think that is, just like you say, further damage to Sir Keir Starmer, who has the worst Prime Minister in the history of British politics. Even the polls suggest that too.
75%. 75% have a grim, new view of him. That's 3 out of 4 people think he's the worst Prime Minister ever. But, of course, that doesn't beg... There's a bigger question, JG. 7% said I don't give a damn, which meant that 18% of the people that YouGov spoke to think he's doing a decent job. I think they need to be deported, don't they?
Well, they certainly need examining, Jeremy, I think it's fair to say. Look, I think we all know that there's going to be a base of Labour supporters, and I suspect that 18% is the hardcore Labour voters that will cling on to the party for dear life, for whoever is the leader. But maybe those people out, maybe London-based, should actually come and visit places like Stoke-on-Trent and try and tell people in my region, where they're now facing the third increase in council tax of 4.99% under this Labour-led council in a row, and have needed another bailout. Again, the trilogy of bailouts that no one wanted here in Stoke-on-Trent, to the tune of around £70 million. It's going to cost £10,000 a day in debt interest per Stoke-on-Trent resident. That's what Labour's doing to communities like Stoke-on-Trent, as well as other regions of the country.
Back to, listen, I love the fact that you do your bit and it's great. Well, Maggie's in London. Only an idiot of a leader like Starmer Sutra could make an enemy out of our once great ally. Gary in Bolden, you'll love this, Jonathan. Hopefully now President Donald J. Trump will do us all a favour and launch a similar raid to the Maduro one in Venezuela. Capture Starmer for humanitarian reasons, you understand. And Adrian says, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't his Trumpness give the thumbs up to the Chagos deal last year? I remember being really disappointed by this and had the feeling Trump was laughing at it behind his back. Maybe it was up his sleeve, which is what we said already. Can I talk about the other thing that's causing consternation this morning? Jonathan, the Chinese mega embassy in the centre of London near fibre optic security cables and cameras and all sorts of stuff. Everybody's going, hold on a minute, Starmer, are you mad? There's proof that the Chinese are trying to take over the world. There's proof that they've spied on us and you're going to allow this to happen. Who knows what the hell's going on? And he's going, well, you know, I mean, I think it's a very good idea. That has to be stopped. I'm wondering if Trump will wade in on that next.
Well, I certainly hope that the Prime Minister will not allow the super embassy by China to be built. Like you say, it is clearly a severe threat to our nation's security. But what concerned me is, I think when it was rumoured the government were reconsidering their original position, which was to approve it, the Chinese government put out communications that essentially inferred, from what I could read of them, that there was some sort of deal done when Starmer visited President Xi in China not long after being elected, and there was some sort of reciprocal deal that they would give us some investment, which was basically peppercorn rent to the Chinese state in exchange for this embassy to be approved. So my worry is that Starmer's allowed himself to get tied in to a deal that never needed to be done.
He just doesn't get much right, does he? I want to take a call because we love you're going to be on Talk again soon, aren't you? We love having you on the station. Let's go to Southampton. Paul, you're on Breakfast with JK, and Jonathan Gullis is with me. What you got, Paulie?
It's just that Starmer has been played so brilliantly by Trump. It's so good to see that the hypocrisy of this guy is just being shown out at an international level. Embarrassing for us, but I think it needed to be done.
Well, listen, I couldn't agree more. Amanda says, JG, Starmer's humiliation now seen by the entire world is it's karma at its best for the spite and hardship he's brought upon the British people. And morning, Jake. Please get me Jonathan Gullis's face as I read this one out from Steve in Lincoln, because I want to see JG's face. There you go. Let's be honest, Trump has bent Starmer over and shown him the Kama Sutra. I think that's probably quite true. It is fair to say the humiliation is utterly complete. Chinese embassy, this whole deal with Greenland, and this sort of mess of kowtowing to his own backbenchers at every toss and turn, not able, in fact, to bring anything through. No sort of direction, no sort of oomph. Talk today as well. I know you defected to Reform. A couple of things on that. Nigel had said that he was going to announce today a Labour defector, which is obviously big news. Lots of names going around. Certainly Baroness Kate Hoey, but I mean, I don't think it's her. She hasn't been a Labour member for 8 years. Obviously, a tick would be if somebody from Labour came over to Reform. Where do you stand on the, and this isn't against you, where do you stand on the criticism amongst certain Reform voters who go, are you joking? This is just becoming the Conservative Party 2.0 and people are out to save their political skin?
Well, I can understand why some people may feel that way, and I've been very clear with the members I've met locally, and I've visited a number of Reform branches, that I'm here to be part of the team. That we've got local elections in May in our local area. I'll be out working hard, knocking on doors, delivering leaflets to make sure we deliver Reform councillors and win control of Newcastle-under-Lyme Borough Council. And I think it's for people like me to show that we're serious by going out of our way to ingratiate ourselves with the membership and show that we're going to be one of the chaps out there on the front line doing what's needed to do to raise funds.
Not just for the glory, you mean, not just for walking into a seat because you've decided that's the way back. Show through your efforts that you're serious with the message. What did you make of Robert Jenrick's defection, Andrew Rossendale, JG?
Well, so I was delighted to see both of those former colleagues of mine now, obviously colleagues again inside Reform UK. I think Andrew is a very principled Conservative, and it's sad to say that he feels the Conservative Party has abandoned him at the end of the day. And as for Robert Jenrick, he's one of the most high-quality talents that we have in UK politics. Look, I was certainly sceptical of Robert when I first entered Parliament and was on his case a lot about asylum hotels. What I can tell you is I then spent a lot of time discussing the issue with him and saw firsthand how much he was at pain with what the then leadership of the Conservative Party was doing or not doing in many cases. And the fact that he had the strength of character to bravely resign when he realised that the government of the day wasn't going to take the issue seriously enough shows that this is a man who is sincere, that is principled, and believes in what he needs to do. And I hope that the small smattering of Conservative MPs who I believe firmly deserve to be in Reform UK, Katie Lamb, Nick Timothy, Jack Rankin, Andrew Griffiths, these are high-quality people that I think should join Reform UK, because it's clear now that Reform UK is the only party.
You just mentioned Andrew Griffiths. I just mentioned him. You think he could defect, do you?
I don't think he will, but I hope he does, because I think he's a brilliant communicator. I think he's a brilliant minister and parliamentarian. I think he adds a lot of experience from the business world as well. And as I say, what we want is true Conservatives who stick to their principles and values. And Andrew, Katie, Nick, Jack, these are people I think that have are very good people who have shown that they are the future of conservatism. It's just a shame that conservatism doesn't live in the Conservative Party.
I was slightly concerned because last weekend you talk about going out and knocking on doors and delivering leaflets. Some of us did 17 hours interviewing 200 would-be MPs in my guise as an independent broadcaster, before anybody says anything. 200 MPs I interviewed to be MPs in the Senate or in the Scottish Parliament. And I thought, well, when I'm going to be doing it again before the election, I'm going to have to deal with your ugly mug, aren't I?
Jeremy, if I do put myself forwards and end up being grilled by you, it's certainly something I'm not going to look forward to, because you know too much, my friends.
Well, somebody said to me, if you ever stand, you're going to have to interview yourself. That'll be good. JG, honestly, we love having you on. Get on Talk soon. And on a serious note, this man, and I'll say this again, this man is a proper local politician who cares about the Stoke-on-Trent area. And if you are in that area, you know, go and listen to him, because he